Welcome to your Retro Bowl review. We're going to play football like it's 1987. This game by New Star Games is an awesome mobile app game specifically for people who love almost Tecmo Bowl style football, the original, going back to the really basic, Nintendo games that are just like the OG status of football as far as digital and video games go. And yeah, when I discovered this game, it was actually recommended to me by one of my buddies. I actually am not a gamer pretty much at all. I don't really do much in terms of playing, any systems of video games, but this mobile app game to me was just totally worth getting into. And once I started playing it, I found that I pretty much couldn't stop, to the point where now I'm making videos and wanting to share my insights on the game itself, and kind of just like get some communication going around Retro Bowl. So what I decided to do as far as this review goes is basically just drop you right into where I'm at right now. I think one of the series that I'm going to create for Retro Bowl is specific to following along like game by game in a season, and we can discuss a lot of the nuances of how the game unfolds, and work on some of the tutorials on some of the ways to run in Retro Bowl, ways to pass, different things like this, how to play, how to just play really good football. And it's cool because we can actually talk about some of the similarities that exist in tackle football or flag football, and how it translates to Retro Bowl. And again, this channel that I'm hosting this video series on is actually a flag football channel. I've played flag football for years, played tackle. Now I've played flag football in my adult life, and I really just decided to open it up to talking about really all things football, because really, if you're playing flag football, you're playing video games, you're doing fantasy football, you're watching the NFL, college ball, or you're playing flag football, it's still football. So again, just wanted to share a little bit about the background and how this all connects. But we can get right into it, and just let's get into this Retro Bowl review. What makes this game worth talking about and worth playing? So when you jump in, you're going to have to create basically your own season. It'll welcome you to the game. It'll say you're taking over a franchise, and this is your opportunity to make your mark as a coach. So that's basically the gist of how it begins. And New Star Games, the creators of the game, describe this by saying Retro Bowl is the perfect game for the armchair quarterback to finally prove a point. Presented in a glorious retro style, the game has simple roster management, including press duties, the handling of fragile egos while on the field. You get to call the shots. You can pass the grade, take your team all the way to the ultimate prize. Can you win the Retro Bowl? That's their description of the game, basically, and the challenge for you as the player. So, like I said, when you start out, that's basically what you're looking to do. Is you're the coach, you're the GM, you're the owner of the team, essentially. You're going to be making full roster moves, in-game decisions, playing the game how you would if you were going to do like a dynasty mode or something in Madden would be a good parallel. So you'd start over, you take over a team, and from there you can do all sorts of things, customize it a bit. You can just build upon the success. We'll dive in. So I thought it would be helpful, though, rather than starting from square one, kind of show you that I'm 38 seasons in right now, and this is where it's at this point in time. So I really can give you a true view. Like, I didn't just download this game and I'm going to make a review on it after playing for 5 minutes. I've definitely put in quite a bit of time into this, and can give you guys a real rundown as to top to bottom in this Retro Bowl review. So I'm going to come over here and start with the options in the control settings. When you get in the dashboard, it'll guide you through. You have to do like a training camp, sort of a mini camp, if you will, where you're going to go and do some passing drills, some running drills, things like that, and just learn how the game functions. Beyond that, if you're going to change things, you can you'll get in here, adjust the quarters so that you can go 2 or 3 minute quarters. I've always played 2. Music on or off, of course, is the background music. I tend to keep the sound effects and the music off, but that's just me. You can adjust those. Give you an idea. And then you've got sound effects that you can turn on or off as well. The camera zoom, I play with it on. I just actually did turn it off just to see what it was like, and it basically just it magnifies it, pulls it out actually, so you're even further back when you're looking at the game, and it makes it, to me, really hard to see the players. They're super microscopic, so I keep that on. And then the drive direction is like the direction that you're going to go in the game, so it's always going to move to the left. The scan lines, I think there might be something as far as throwing that has to do with. I haven't adjusted the scan lines. I've just left that off. And then so here's the unlimited version. This is different things you can do. And by versions, what I'll do is touch that little shopping cart on the side, and you can see there's the unlimited version, the coaching credits, which you can buy at a clip of like 50, 100, 250, and yeah. So these are the options basically. When you start out and you download the game, it's a free game. It's got an in-app purchase, so you can go to the unlimited version. That gives you a few different features here, like you can edit the team, the difficulty dynamic, the weather, or 10 or 12 man roster. So by editing the teams, you can pick, change team names, adjusting things like that. AFC, NFC, you can tell here there's one out of place here. If you were looking at the NFC East, the Giants are now PPP, which is the name of my flag football team name, and what I decided to name the team name here. So you can adjust team names, things like that, which not the most important thing to do, but you can do that. Weather's pretty cool. It changes it from, rain game, snow game, things like that. Difficulty dynamic, when you set to dynamic, the game difficulty will adjust automatically, getting harder when you win, easier when you lose. I've always had it, just left it on the setting that it was on, and then I did change this from a 10 player, you go 10 player to 12 player. If you make that election, I liked the option to go 12-man roster because you can just kind of get deeper into roster construction. You can kind of talk about more players, things like that. And then what happens is your salary cap adjusts. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I am not in the Discord. I don't follow the Twitter feed, but those are options. And then you can connect this to a gamepad, which I'm just playing on the mobile device, handheld. So this is basically what you're going to see every time that you come back and play another game. Once you start your season up and you get going, it's going to drop you into this dashboard. You're going to see where you stand in your division, within your conference. You're going to see what the fan percentages are as far as like how excited and how into the fan morale is. Are they excited or are they disappointed as far as the season's going? Then you've got the team morale, which is down there at 95% right now. I should say up there at 95%. That's pretty good for having team morale at 95. Offense and defense, 5-star, 5-star. So this is going to be based on essentially the base players that are within your roster that you haven't made a signing on the within free agency or drafted, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But basically, you have a coach who is going to give you your base, like every player that's not in the 12 that you've got on your roster is also part of the roster construction. So you get a base level of stars for those guys depending on your coach. So to see the coach in offense and defense 5 stars, before I get into my roster construction, before I draft players and go to free agency, then I'm relying on the coaching staff. So you can see here, the coordinators up in the top, boom, boom, there they are, offensive. You got your OC and your DC. And within each of the coaches, they have traits and different attributes that make them strong. And you can see here, they're going to influence if I look at this here, your coordinator determines the base rating for defense and offense. The rating before star players are taken into account. So that's basically what the purpose of this offensive coordinator, is going to do. He's going to make the rest of the offense come in at a higher star rating, regardless of the star players that I bring in. And when they have different traits like this, here's an XP boost per game. There's different strategy you can take with hiring your offensive coordinator. You can see who's available, and some of them have different traits, things like that. XP level is going to be setting the training regimen to hard or light, depending on how much experience that you want your players to gain. I always keep mine at hard. Once the training facilities and rehab facilities are pretty much maxed out at a high level like they are right now, then I'll just keep it coaching them at a hard level and training regimen, because essentially that's going to give my players an experience level boost much faster. If you don't have that, if you're not to your 38th season in the game and you're just starting out, you might want, I found a good way to balance it is, and something you might want to consider, is to start out the season kind of going on a harder or normal regimen, and then throttle it back once you get to your once you get past your bye week and you're making it down the stretch of the season and into the playoffs, things like that, so you're less likely to have players that miss time and get hurt. So if I really like this coach, this coordinator, I can go ahead and extend the contract for 1 year for a certain number of credits. So in this case, it's 15. He's a bit of a higher, 5-star coordinator and a high experience level coordinator, so they come at a higher rate. You also get different, I believe, and this is what I've heard, is that you get different play calling based on the offensive coordinator differences too. I haven't really seen that. I mean, you get to play calling, you get to see how that's done, and it doesn't really vary from like a 1-star to a 5-star, at least in my opinion, but I have heard otherwise. And here's some other things you can do to invest in your franchise. So you've got your stadium right here. That's going to improve the stadium. That'll make a positive impact on your fan base. And I can discuss why that's going to be important, once we get into a game situation. So if you're actually in the game and you finish out the game, if your fan base is really negative and they're in like the first tier of the three, you'll only get one of these coaching credits back, these coins. If they're at like 50 to 70%, something in that range, then you get 2. And if they're closer to 80, 90, 100, then you end up getting 3. And so you accumulate these coaching credits a lot faster if your fan base is happy. So it's a really good investment actually to keep your fan base happy, so that you get coaching credits in faster, and then you can reinvest and do things like upgrade your training facilities so you have more XP, rehab so that when injuries happen, they'll recover. Okay, so what else you can do with the coaching credit, of course, is extend your coaching contracts and keep your base players on the offense and defense at a high level. But when you're ready to focus on, and here's some alternatives, let's just say, if you didn't like these coaches, come here to staff hires. You can see here, this coordinator tells you the age, the morale, any traits. A lot of them are none. All of them are none, except for this one, who's a motivator, Myrtle Gillen. She will give you an instant morale boost for offensive players. So that could be good, especially if you have players that aren't a high morale level. They could be poor or bad, and she could neutralize that. So basically the same thing on defense as on offense. Different traits. It happens to be a motivator as well. And if you want to refresh the hires, you got to pay for it. That costs you 5 credits just to get a refresh of these coaches. So you got to kind of hope for your luck. You hope the luck is on your side, because whatever you see here of these 4, if you want to change those ones up, you have to pay another 5 credits for that, and that's pretty expensive for a coach. If you don't even invest in a coach, they'll just give you, like, whenever the contract expires, they'll just send somebody else in as the OC and the DC, and they'll play and they'll coach rather, and they will not really boost your team by much. It'll be like 1 or 2 stars, and it doesn't really help your base defense or offense unless you have the star players to take that level up to like closer to 4 or 5 as a team. So that's the staff picks. Then, like I said, once you're getting a substantial amount of coaching credits, you can reinvest in building your team. If you're thinking about this the way that I do, it's about building a dynasty. It's about a legacy, like they say in the game as well. Building what's your legacy going to be like as a coach, as a player, as an owner, et cetera, et cetera. So you're basically looking to think about how you can create a team that is going to be winning championship after championship, right? If you're into football, flag football, tackle football, anything, and you think of yourself as like a GM or a coach, even on the field as a player, you want to think about how can you win multiple championships, not just one. How do we just get lucky for this one season? Like, no, you got to figure out how do you build sustainably. What are the characteristics and the framework of success? Like, there's a reason why the Patriots, unfortunately, I don't love the Patriots by any stretch, but I respect the fact that they were able to create a dynasty. You figure out certain traits in receivers, figure out certain traits in players and tendencies, and those are the types of players you want to bring on, and you got to balance that with your salary cap and everything else, and that's what really is sticky about this game. That's what gets you into it. So actually, when I jump in here to free agency, this gives you the view of what you can see, what you can do with your coaching credits as you're building that dynasty. So funny enough, there's Mahomes, not Patrick Mahomes, unfortunately, and he doesn't really have the attributes of Patrick Mahomes either, but this is just to give you an idea what's available on the open market, on the free agency, on the waivers. This is it. I can only get this one quarterback right now if that's what I want, if I'm not satisfied with my quarterback. I can go through and get this running back, and I can give my opinions on these down the road as far as like what looks good, what doesn't. But you're able to come through here and pretty much pick up any of these players that you want at any point in time during the season. Everywhere from a quarterback to a kicker. So they've got one of every position right here, and you can see there's smiley face emojis, different things that are up there, different colors. This one in blue, his morale's poor, not good. Same as this kicker, poor. The one in red here, bad. I mean, morale, those are the things you want to avoid. You want something that's closer to this guy, exceptional, or at least okay, and then good, and up to great. I think this is a great one. Yeah, so that's pretty much the range. From poor to bad, then what happens next is toxic. And if you get a toxic player, they start to show all the other cracks in your roster as far as like the ego side of things, and certain guys will just get negative, and you'll see their morale drop because you have a toxic player. So something to keep in mind. And so down here in the bottom of the screen here, you can see salary cap, 171 million out of 200. So I have a 200 salary cap a year to manage in space, and 12 players on the roster to be able to build around. You can see in this particular season, this just gives you a view of my roster. But going back to it, I was talking about the free agents. You can kind of toggle between them if you're like wanting to compare, say, okay, how about the quarterback I currently have, okay, versus the quarterback that's on free agency here, both the same age. Obviously, this quarterback comes at about half the contract cost, but has he won, let's see, 3 championships with 2 MVPs? No, I don't think he has. So this guy is the one I'm gonna want, this quarterback. So you can see, like, you can toggle between them and just make some analysis over how you're gonna do this, how you're gonna construct your team. So backing it out here, we've covered everything from how the front office works, stadiums, training facilities, rehab, salary cap, free agents. One other piece of the puzzle here is draft picks. You can see it's going to show me 1-2-1. So that's the first round, second round, third round. So you get 3 rounds in the draft every season, and I've got right now a first round pick, 2 seconds, and a third. So it tells you here you can gain extra picks by trading players out of the team, and that's going to be a big part of navigating a season. Why I want to actually create a series around this, not only just have this review, but once you see the review, coming in and following along the progress as I start over from ground zero and build up a franchise over several seasons, seeing the progress week to week and seeing the mindset that goes into it, where I'm investing, why am I trading this player, cutting this one, adding that one, how to play in-game and manage those situations and stuff like that. That's basically how you can end up with additional draft picks. Before your bye week every season, you can trade players. And if you're trading players, you'll get draft picks in return. And then from those draft picks, you can either pick players fresh out of the draft, or you can exchange your draft pick for more of these coaching credits, the trade-off is not very good. So you do. So in other words, if you invested in free agency to acquire one of these players here, like let's just say this receiver, we like his potential. He's 4.5 stars, comes in with a good base rating at 4. He's young, 23, not a terribly high contract, $18 million for 3 years. He's going to catch passes because he's got really high catch attributes. He's going to be fast and have decent amount of stamina and strength. And again, I can get into attributes in another video, but this is an idea of a player that you go to sign to help you with you're in the season and you need a boosted receiver. Well, you're trading off 17 coaching coins plus 18 million in cap space to sign that player. And if you have to trade one of your guys, let's just say I have to trade Davison. Well, if I ended up getting Davison, I think I drafted him, but Haskins I think I signed off free agency. Well, if I trade him now and he cost me like 18 CC coaching credits to acquire, and then I'm trading him, and then I get the draft pick for him, a first round pick. You can see the value on the left side of the screen. And then I don't pick another receiver with that first round pick, and I instead exchange it for the coaching credit. I'm gonna basically only be left with that like 3 credits in exchange for that maneuver. So if it cost me 20 coaching credits to get him, and then it was I didn't draft any receiver with that pick, and instead I just exchanged it for what the draft pick is worth, I'm only going to get 3, so I will lose 17 CC on that. That's the kind of basic math that you have to do in this game, and part of roster construction. You have to figure out, all right, this player has 1 season left, and I'm paying 21 million for that 1 season. But what about the next season? When he comes off of free agency next season, and he's a free agent, he's going to want a lot more. So I might have to think about drafting or replacing during the season, through free agency. And those are types of things we can talk about as we cover that during the season in the other series that I'll be doing. But that's basically, what it looks like, how you manage your roster, your draft, your free agents, etc. So now we have, the overview that we get into every time that we log into the game, what week we're in, standings, where the fan base is at, where your team morale is at, your offensive, defensive base stars, your front office on the bottom navigation screen, your settings, your roster, which we got into, but we clicked that actually through the front office. If you're not looking at like making any player transactions, let's say you just want to look at your roster for whatever reason, you can toggle and just go right in that way. Hall of Fame is pretty cool. You can see right now I've had 95% of achievements. So they have this huge list of things that you could do just to achieve at 100%, I guess, of all the different milestones. And then you got the different records here, number of games, points, biggest win, biggest loss, things like that, win percentage, and then the number of championships. And you can see that there are several championships here that spans many good seasons. And I figured it out, and it took me a while, but that's the outcome. From there, we can look at retro bowls and let's see scores from those games. Belichick versus every other coach and the coach I created here. Player records. You can see everybody's different statistics here. The best season, best this and that, and it goes on across the board. If you were to look at statistics for like any player, then you've got your player Hall of Fame. So these are players that I have, put into the Hall of Fame for one reason or another over the seasons. You can look at their stats and different things like that and give them a bid to the Hall of Fame. So it's pretty cool. And that's really it. So this is everything we're covering before we're even playing a game. I want to show you a little bit of the in-game look, and here it is. We can change uniforms, we can do all that, but we're looking at a matchup between Kansas City and PPP. I've obviously messed around. I changed the uniform colors and et cetera, et cetera. You can see the matchup's going to be a defensive struggle. I mean, we got 2 5-star defenses and actually a really good team here against the Chiefs. It's almost as if it was the 2020 Chiefs, and you're looking at a good offense and a great offense and great defense. So again, going back to it, we had the weather setting on. So this means that rain is what's going to be the in the elements for the day. You can see how it's got these little pop-ups that kind of work their way through, letting me know and updating me as I'm going through the game as to what's happening while my team is on defense, because you only play offense in this game. So essentially, what I'm doing here is I got my possession. It looks like I forced a 3 and out, or at least a drive where they didn't score, and so it's my ball. So basically, I have this little upper right-hand corner. You can see change play, and then you're going to see the green arrows and the blue arrow and the stars that are kind of blinking. Well, what this all means is we'll start with the green arrows. Those are route tree routes. So if you're familiar with football, really at any level, especially if you're a quarterback or a receiver, you understand routes. You look at the top of the screen, this guy's going to be running a dig route, so he's going to run up the field about 10 yards, and then he's going to break inside. It's actually the same thing as the slot receiver at the bottom of the screen is doing, but he's going to run that as an out pattern. And then you've got the receiver at the way bottom where your receiver on the outside is, and he's going to be running a post. On the blue line, the blue arrow there is the route that the running back will be traveling. So if you decide not to hand the ball off to the running back, then he's going to run what looks to be just like a go route. He would sort of take a little hesitation step and then run straight up the field, so he's always an option. If I don't like those routes for whatever reason, I can change the play up to like 4 more times. So there you go. So there's another one, and that goes down to just 2 more changes, and then this one here, and finally this is the play we have to call because we've audibled so many other times. Now you're looking at this and you're seeing 11 players on defense and on offense, just like in tackle football, and you've got to decide, all right, so where the defenders are aligned here versus my offense, well, I found, always want to look at that safety in the middle of the field deep. They're typically only going to be playing you in a single high safety set. I rarely ever see 2 safeties, but you're going to have corners on the outsides, of course, and you're going to look at how many players are in the box. You have 5 players, including I should say you do have a safety in the mix here, but one that's aligned more as a strong safety with your one safety deep, free safety deep. And then you've got basically those 5 players between safeties and linebackers, and then you've got your 4-man D-line and your 2 corners on the outside. So we gotta basically figure what the best option is here. I'm gonna look deep on this, and as my primary read, and secondarily I'll look for that receiver at the bottom, gonna come all the way across the screen if I can't get the step on the outside. So here he is, boom, release to that guy crossing, and you can kind of strafe up and down to essentially juke out the defenders. And just like in real football, if you're stepping out of bounds, you're going to stop the clock. So I'm looking at this play again. I like that matchup on the top of the screen. My receiver is lined up, and he's got a defender about 10 yards off to start. So yeah, he's running a deep sort of post, skinny post, but I'm going to hit him right away. So get him the ball as soon as it comes out, and then try to get to that first down marker, just the sticks, and pick up a first. So here we are. I like this route. I like this play design, rather. This is 3 verticals. I think in any single time I'm calling a play in this game, I like to have at least 1 vertical option, if not have both receivers go deep. And in this case, we're just going to see who ends up getting that last step right, or that step right there. All right, so slightly bad pass, falls behind him. They're sending everybody here. I'm going to dump it off to the receiver on that wheel route. And he's just sort of my safety valve. I'm keying in. Looking deep. Can't find it. Oh, getting sacked. Okay, not a good start, but I'm going to keep this drive alive. Now I'm going to hold this, hit in that tight end, give him as much time to run down the field on that seam route as possible, because they're coming with the blitz. You just got to hold it and fire once they get there. So here we go. On the top of the screen, I like that comeback. Look for it. If it's there, it is. I fire it. Boom. Haskins, touchdown. Let's go. So we're up 6-0 with 36 seconds remaining in the first quarter, and I'm gonna go for 2. This is my strategy. I don't kick any extra points. I don't have a kicker on my roster. I like to rely on the pass, or the run rather. It's the 2-point conversion basically. And so I'm gonna look actually to the bottom portion of the screen here. that tight end who's running a quick out, I'm going to look at that speed out as the option. Otherwise, I'm going to show you guys how to sort of peel off and run for it, and that's what we're going to do. So if it opens up, I'll throw it. It does open up a little bit past where I should have thrown it, but I hit him because all the defenders were coming in on the blitz, and there you go. We're up 8-0. Okay, so now you can see what's happening. They're running it. My D lineman was too slow to stop him apparently, and that ends the first quarter. So of course this is going to go on for second quarter. Then we're going to have halftime. Third quarter, we're going to have the fourth quarter after is up for each quarter. Then we're basically we're going to be closing out the game, and we'll see what happens at that point in time. So I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up. We've got 2 minutes left in this first half. They're coming up aggressively. I'm going to show you guys something. I'm going to pull this off here if I can do it with my running back. Sort of a hesitation in the backfield, Le'Veon Bell style run, and to really break away big gains. So I'm going to backpedal a little bit and go through. And that's either a strikeout or a home run. You're either going to break through and you can just run for a 50-yard gain, or you're going to get stopped in the backfield. But I like taking that risk, especially on first down. I'm going to pull that off and run. Let's just pick up some yards here. Dive so that your quarterback, or if you can't dive, don't take a head-on hit. At least have them tackle you from behind. All right, so I like the option just to drop it off to the running back here and look to get that first down. Okay, we picked up the first. So we've got momentum on our side. I'm going to still look deep. I haven't gotten a shot at much of a shot on a deep ball yet, but I'm still looking for it. Always wanting to go deep. Those tight ends come in handy. Now, you can see right there with that tight end, I'm going to hit this guy here too. I'm going to look for him. If he gets open, I'm going to pull it and run. Now, I have a quarterback who can kind of pick up some yards with his feet, which I really have come to appreciate, because you can really make just like a first or second read, and if they're coming fast, then you can just take off and go. Oh, got the lucky bounce off Haskins coming across the field, and I'm going to get out of bounds to preserve the time. We're here at 19 seconds. I like the out route to one of my receivers on the bottom of the screen. I'm going to shift gears, try to come. There we go. See, now you can use that little back pedal to slow down, bring the defense in, and set up a block for yourself and move forward. So here we go. I'm seeing on the bottom of the screen the go route and the wheel behind it, and I'm going to make that defender who's coming off the edge, he can't be right. So I'm going to just watch what he does and do the opposite. So if he drops back, I'm going to hit the running back. If he comes in and pursue, or me as on blitz, I'm going to throw the ball up the sideline. So we're just going to watch. Here he is. Sneaky play they got me on right there. They knew that I was taking my time on the setup there, but basically, yeah, if I had slung that out to him really towards the outside shoulder, that was the right play call. All right, so I'm going to hit him for some quick yardage. And I'm not going to do as much narrating on this drive, just going to kind of get into the rhythm a little bit and just start to play the game. So I like that. These tight ends are a lot more like Gronk, like they can catch passes, Travis Kelce or Gronk or something, and they're really useful. I find them a lot useful actually than offensive linemen. So I would definitely recommend sticking with two tight ends as a good option instead of your O-line and really investing too heavily there, because you get two pass catchers in that sense. So I have two tight ends here, two receivers, and a running back. This is my set. Dump it off to the running back here as he's coming out on the flare, and I'm just going to keep trying to strafe up and get those extra yards as the clock ticks. All right, I see a blitz coming here. I'm going to just hit that tight end over the top, and you can sort of see these similar patterns as it opens up. And I mean, I'm a quarterback in our flag football leagues here, so I see how the thinking is very similar. You have to just kind of look for the patterns in the defense and what they're doing, and you'll start to identify pre-snap, okay, based on this alignment. Really, anytime that they're lining up flat across the screen from top to bottom, they're blitzing, and you can either, like I said, take a shot, or you can utilize your running back and go for that home run type of run, like in this case here. So again, I should be going outside. I just kind of want to show that this is possible, so I'm going to just do the little back pedal, see where it's not working. I'm going to do a full video on actually how to run the ball effectively and how to utilize that. Well, I'm seeing a deep ball open up, and I'm going to chuck that down the field. And Davison picking up 23 yards. Great start right there. Okay. Drop that in, and that is dangerous. I would not advise to make that throw. I don't know why I took that chance, actually. Okay, so I'm still seeing the go route, the vertical up the tight end. I'm going to hit that tight end again, pick up the first. Look, this. You just want to keep the chains moving. You don't need to actually go deep every play. If it's there, he's got the step. If he's even, he's leaving, though. And if I could have thrown an accurate ball, he would have had a touchdown. So if the deep ball is there, safety's going that way. I got the step on him. Let's go. Chuck it up. See what happens. We got it. That's that Bruce Arrington. Why can't I think? Bruce Arrington. No risk it, no biscuit. Okay, there's a running back again over the middle of the field. And man, my throws are quite inaccurate today in this tutorial. It's not the best showing on display, but he still ended up here with 28 points to 3 against a really good team, and the game is over. So they're going to show you my quarterback got hurt. Who knows when or how, but he's out for one game, and that's not going to help. Now you see those 3 stars, fans at 100%. I accumulated 3 CC from that one game. So that's why I was saying if your fan base is in that first tier, you're only going to get 1 of those CCs for every game. So when you play an entire season, you're only going to get like 17 of those if you've got just during your regular season, versus if you had 100% fan base, you'd be getting 3 times as much. So then they show you this screen, the box score, where you are in the standings and your conference and division, and how the playoff picture is looking. Then it goes to results and continue. Now you can see the results view. It just kind of tells you more about the league and the playoff picture if you want to get into that, etc. Over here shows you where the standings are. Well, I go ahead and hit continue, and you get to this press interview. It's going to say something about a player typically performing well and what did you think about it, or they didn't perform well and what did you think about it. You either have to sort of praise the player, the coach, or defend them, and different things happen as a result. So I'm looking at the 2 emojis and that they're both exceptional at morale, so it's not really necessarily going to help one or the other. So I because the player already is exceptional in this, I'm going to give the coaching credit and hope that maybe some of that gets passed on to the players. I don't know if that's actually how it works, but I'm hoping so. Now as you can see, here is the box score, and this is the fun part. You can see how the statistics of every player and sort of break that down. My quarterback is showing up at the bottom because now he's in the injury report. Threw for 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 sack. I think he could have definitely put up some more numbers had I thrown some better balls to those receivers, because they were definitely getting open. We got the running back Wims with a 61-yard performance and a touchdown. Now that includes rushes and catches. Pollard, the tight end here, Dean, Haskins, and Davis, and the receivers. You can see they're all involved in the game. And as far as roster construction, I've definitely prioritized 2 really good receivers, 2 at least high potential tight ends, a very good running back if you can get one and you can incorporate the run game, and then of course a great quarterback. I'll go ahead and continue here in a second, but you can see the defensive side, and this is important too. You look at Simpson, who was a rookie at the beginning of the season, not performing all that well. He didn't have a single tackle, so I don't know what he was doing, but he really wasn't effective in that game. 4 DBs. Now this is something that I've come to realize, like my DBs are more tackle machines than most of the D line, and definitely better than pretty much any linebacker that I've had on my team. Linebacker seems to be a pretty wasted position, and so I just have it constructed. I've constructed my roster in that way. You can see the level up if you go back and you look at that kind of glowing area on the last screen. You can see that certain players are going to receive XP boosts, and if they have attributes that are unfulfilled but have open boxes, I'll be able to add to it, just like here. So I'm hoping my D lineman, gets more productive in tackling. Tackling and strength seems to be the most important, and then stamina, based off of them needing to just kind of have the ability to stay strong in deep into a game. Now his tackling and strength should be exceptional, but I'm going to go ahead and fill out those 2 boxes, and then stamina, and then speed. So I'm going to probably say tackling is the most important, and I'll go with that. And that's it. So basically, top to bottom here, we're in the middle of season number 38, which I'm just dropping us into here, and I'm giving you a full overview on this Retro Bowl review, some gameplay, how it works, tips and tricks on running, roster construction, everything from the breakdown in salary cap and drafting. A lot of that stuff and the nuances I'm excited to get into in the next series, where I'll be following along every single week, building up a franchise from scratch, and aiming to win multiple championships in sort of a dynasty mode. And if it doesn't happen that way and we crash and burn and the franchise is just struggling and it's all over, well, we'll give it a few seasons to make that assessment. But I have a feeling that 38 seasons in and winning several Retro Bowl championships, it's been a fun journey, and I am excited to bring you along for the next one. Now, one thing I want to say is it's kind of goes back to it. You might be asking yourself, all right, well, did you get to this point with 72 credits and all these things because you bought a bunch of thing? Well, when I started out, I did two things. I bought the unlimited after playing for a little while. I bought the unlimited version out of respect for the developers. I think this is an awesome game, and it's kind of crazy that it's free. Again, I'm not a big gamer. I don't have a system. I don't have systems where I'm playing all the time. I just basically downloaded this game and got really into it, and I'm a huge football fan. So more than a gamer, I'm a football fan. I'm a player of flag football, former tackle football player, getting into anything to do with fantasy and tackle or flag tips, coaching, everything else is all aligned, and this game kind of just drops right into that. I did find that, and I would recommend to come in with the coaching credits and just buy the 100 package, because with 100 coaching credits, I think that definitely gives you the boost that you need to just get some players who are good enough to actually be constructing a good roster with. So if I were to start from scratch, and what I'm going to do when I start that series is buy the unlimited version and then 100 coaching credits. So for like $5, you can get this game going to where you have the unlimited. You're giving back to the developers a little bit, and you're getting something to really build a long-term successful franchise, and that'll be the goal. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here, and definitely say go ahead and drop a like, leave a comment if you have any questions, subscribe to this channel. Like I said, this channel is going to be about everything involving everything football related, flag football predominantly, but huge series on this Retro Bowl game, and then probably get into some fantasy football, as well as NFL football down the road, just kind of perspectives and different things, sharing that, as well as tips and advice for flag football players. So just going to add another wrinkle to the channel. Appreciate you stopping by. Let me know, subscribe, hit the like button, and tap the notification bell, and definitely leave a comment if you have any questions about this Retro Bowl review, gameplay, any tips and tricks that you're looking for more info on. I can do specific videos. I will get into those individual videos, and I'll also be creating a series that follows the team building in dynasty mode from season 1 to like 3 or 4, and we'll keep it going each week. So appreciate you guys, and we'll come back again here soon with another video.